YouTube, Awesome Rider here with my review of Kamen Rider Build episode 9. So I thought this was another pretty good episode. It was actually quite a bit of explanations about things, and there was a few little surprises in there. Like, to start off, basically we picked up more or less where we were last week with them finding the flash drive, which kind of had like a promotional video for Build, for not like the show, but for the system, like basically probably sell the militaries and stuff, by the dude that died. His name Kasaragi, I think, I forget, I have too many names. But so they basically showed off how it works and stuff like that, and confirms, like, you know, he built it, we knew it, but like, basically this episode sort of clarified a lot of the various pieces of evidence we've gotten in vague form. And I mentioned this in Q-Ranger's review, how Build has, even before this episode, gave us more to work with than Q-Rangers does in terms of where the powers came from. But I like, and people get mad when they do stuff like this, oh, it's exposition. But sometimes I like just those small scenes where you sit down and explain mythology stuff to me, because it enriches the experience for me. Like, I liked getting, because this is a problem that Toku has in a lot of series, where they're too vague with certain things, and it's not done often in a way where it's supposed to be vague because it's a mystery you're supposed to solve on your own, or it's going to be revealed later. Often they're just vague and then it never pays off. Like, it's kind of bad writing, and there's a lot of Toku series with that problems, with those problems. And I like that we just took 2-3 minutes to sit down and clarify this stuff for me, that this dude made the system, the owner stole it, he tried to use it. I liked that he said that, because I mentioned that when in the episode when he said he tried but he couldn't do it, so he found Sento, and people in the comments on Twitter and on YouTube were like, no, he didn't, he never said that. And it's like there was like all these things that were clarified that people were telling me didn't happen, and people were also telling me that Sento was the one that had the Build stuff when the owner found him. I've been told that multiple times, and that this episode clarified that you know, this dude built it, the owner stole it when he left, and then Sento got it. So it was all really well clarified, and I like that, and it just makes things a little bit easier. So like, going forward, I don't always have to be asking questions about this particular part of the mystery. Unlike Q-Ranger, where every time they bring a mythology thing in, I'm always curious like where it comes from. But the point was, I really liked that. It led to an argument, which is kind of a classic argument in a lot of media, of like, are the scientists responsible for how their inventions are used? It very much so reminded me of Iron Man stuff, and that got Ryuga and Sento in an argument. But then later, this is also, I mentioned this week in Q-Ranger's review how a classic Q-Ranger episode is someone underestimating Lucky and then him proving himself lucky. I feel like even 9 episodes in, we've kind of had this classic storyline between Sento and Ryuga, where Sento does something to piss him off, but then he realizes that he's actually a good guy. Because that's what we got later when Misora was like explaining to him, like, oh, but he always was looking out for you and he made you that little dragon, remember? But yeah, so that storyline was running in the background, and also Ryuga dressed up as Gentaro and dressed her up as a schoolgirl so they could have a day out, since she never gets to get out, and that ended up backfiring. I thought it was a nice little moment in montage just because they're both so cooped up, but it also was kind of stupid because they got caught by Night Rogue, and then Stalk stopped them, and I'm so curious about him because he keeps getting in the way of stuff I feel like should be a common goal of them. And it looks like we could find out who he is next week. But so that happened. Rewinding real quick, during the little promo video, we got a look at Wolf's cell phone as a combo. I don't even remember seeing that in the scans, but I'm sure we'll see that at some point. But like, this episode officially debuted the Lion vacuum cleaner combo, which is such a classic Toku thing of like, I acknowledge that it's weird, but because of how many weird themes we have, it's also just so normal to me. But so that was this week's form debut, even though we got a little look at that other one. The other big development was that basically this dude that we fought this week, which I think was the first time that I remember, I have a bad memory, but that we've seen somebody actually choose to turn themselves into a Smash. Like, it's very reminiscent of other Rider series, like with Gaia Memories and Zodiac Switches, where he sprinkled it on himself, which was kind of funny, but where he chose to do it. Which is interesting, because something I found interesting about the Smash is that it's not like those past villains where it was a person sort of somehow choosing to do this, and it was usually a victim that was almost a passenger for what was happening to them as a Smash. And so this was the first time we've seen it chosen, and he had like a refill, so even after he defeated him and got the essence, he had another one ready. And basically his goal was to get Sento out of there. It's unclear whether they wanted Sento out of there if they know he's Build. I couldn't tell. But he wanted him out of there so that they could steal the Pandora's box, because there's all kinds of drama going on with finding out more about it and the different sections of Japan, and like a deadline. And basically Stalk like Order 66 it there with all his troops, and they're about to it just reminded me of that scene in Revenge of the Sith, but like where they're gonna go steal Pandora's box and they need him out of there for that. And then also right at the end we got a little reveal that the reporter chick is reporting on them, like as a snitch. I don't think that's all what it seems, even though she actually hasn't been around the last, I feel like 2 weeks? At least one, but I feel like it's 2 weeks. But since she's like a main person, I don't think it's a full-on as much of a betrayal as we think. Or it is, and she'll redeem herself later, or for all we know she could end up being a villain, who knows. But like, there was just, it was such a good episode. Like, I like how Build always has a lot going on. Even in his quieter episodes, there's a lot of parts moving. I mean, we had momentum going on this storyline of Pandora's box being stolen, which just started, essentially. And then we found out more, like, clarification about the Build mythology, and then we got this reveal about the reporter chick. Also, we got a little bit more clarification on Misora's backstory. Basically just, you know, she went, like, it's stuff we knew, but it's nice to have a moment where you put it all together in one sentence and just tell us, you know? And she was like, oh, I woke up and I have this bracelet, and basically just clarified some things. There's still some mystery shrouded around there, but still, it was really nice, and I liked it. And I'm just really enjoying Build a lot. I think it's doing a great job at keeping momentum going, and it's doing a good job of intriguing me with new plots and questions while answering and clarifying things at a steady pace. And I'm just really always looking forward to the next episode. Like, it's really nice to have both Superhero Time components be Appointment TV again. Anyway, this is overall a really good episode for me. I would give it an 8.5. Until next time, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. It's Dawson Ryder, signing out.